Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is enjoying their day. Please subscribe and like the video before continuing. The Young and the Restless spoilers, Nina and Jill shaken by Chance's death, Philip returns for the funeral? Get updates on the latest news about The Young and the Restless, straight to your inbox. We use your personal data for interest-based advertising, as outlined in our privacy notice. What is this? The Young and the Restless spoilers document that Chancellor's, Connor Floyd, death has profound implications on both sides of the screen. Floyd recorded his last scene in the fictional town of Genoa City, Wisconsin, and is already working in his new fictional setting of Salem, Illinois, on Days of Our Lives, where he recently assumed the role that Billy Flynn, Chad DiMera on Days and now the recast Kane Ashby, held since 2014. Devoted audience members of one or both shows were aware of the unusual nature of Kane asking Chance to protect him at his estate in the south of France. Viewers appreciated the coolness of seeing Floyd work with Flynn, who he was replacing on Days. Fans also knew that Chance was either not long for Y&R's World, with that character either being written off, recast, or killed off. One of the immediate effects of Chance's death is that two former residents of Genoa City, Wisconsin, Nina Webster, Trisha Cast, and Jill Abbott, Jess Walton, deserve to be seen at Chance's funeral service in the coming days. The Chancellor's legacy in Genoa City. The greatest character to emerge during Y&R's debut in 1973 was Catherine Chancellor, played by the late Gene Cooper. What is this? One of the most impactful storylines during the 1970s involved Catherine's husband, Philip Chancellor II, last played by the late Donnelly Rhodes, becoming involved with Jill Foster, last played by Jess Walton. Jill later added Abbott to her name when she married the next love of her life, John Abbott, the late Jerry Douglas. Philip and Jill had a child, Philip Chancellor III, Tom Beards, which established one of this soap opera's greatest rivalries. Catherine and Jill's relationship turned from mentoring to enemy status. Catherine's inability to control her need to drink, following Philip II's betrayal, led to her crashing a car she was driving. It was the famed cliffhanger, as Cooper's character drove the car, with Philip II in it, off a cliff after he refused to reconcile. Philip II survived the accident long enough to marry Jill in the hospital. Catherine was seriously injured but survived to become GC's grande dame. Philip III grew up and eventually met Nina. He was Nina's best friend's, Christine Blair, Laura Lee Bell, boyfriend. But that didn't prevent Cast's character from targeting him. It only seems like yesterday. Catherine and Jill allied and attempted to bribe Nina to leave town after it was known that she was pregnant with Philip III's child, Philip IV, who came to be known as Chance. What is this? Nina previously had another son, Ronan Malloy, last played by Jeff Branson, who was stolen shortly after he was born. Ronan wasn't seen on screen until he was a SORAS, soap opera rapid aging syndrome, adult in 2010. Branson last appeared on the show in 2012. So, Chance's living relatives would normally be at his upcoming funeral. An often used plot technique has verbal references made about characters who aren't written back. Jill is a recurring character. Nina is sporadically shown, last appearing in 2023. It would be great to see Beards again. Philip III is Chance's father. But this character hasn't been seen since 2011. He carries the Chancellor's name, which is one of the most important originals on this enduring soap. Chancellor rests in peace. Floyd delivered solid performances after replacing Donnie Boaz in 2021. He's set to do the same in replacing Floyd on Days, with his first appearance scheduled for 2026, due to that show's advanced recording schedule. The audience knew Chance's presence in GC was shifting when his spouse, the now Abby Winters, Melissa Ordway, became involved with and then married Devin Winters, Bryden James. Chance's purpose since that time has been the city's main lawman. It will be interesting to see if Y&R introduces a new detective because one is surely needed, considering the volume of crime and misdeeds that regularly occur in this famous Midwestern city where the Chancellor family was once prominent. The Young and the Restless spoilers, Nina and Jill shaken by Chance's death, Philip returns for the funeral? The residents of Genoa City are left reeling in the aftermath of one of the most devastating events to hit the town in years. News of Chancellor's untimely death has sent shockwaves through the close-knit community, with family members, friends, and loved ones struggling to come to terms with the heartbreaking loss. But it is Nina Webster and Jill Abbott who are most profoundly shaken by the tragedy, each woman grappling with the unthinkable in their own way. As emotions run high and secrets begin to unravel, speculation grows that Philip Chancellor III may make a stunning return for Chance's funeral, reigniting old tensions and long-buried truths. The tragedy unfolds just as Chance is investigating a dangerous criminal enterprise linked to the underworld dealings that have plagued Genoa City. In a twist that no one saw coming, a late-night raid goes horribly wrong. Despite his years of training, instinct, and loyalty to justice, Chance walks into a trap that ultimately costs him his life. The news hits like a tsunami. Police sirens echo into the night as Abby Newman collapses into tears, receiving the news no wife should ever hear. The world as she knows it crumbles. Nina Webster, already struggling to connect with her son after years of estrangement and missed moments, finds herself shattered. The guilt is palpable. She had just begun to repair their relationship. She had hoped for second chances. Now, that future is gone. Flashbacks flood Nina's mind, Chance as a child, his laughter, his determination to do good in a complicated world. Her grief is not quiet. It is stormy, raw, and filled with regret. Jill Abbott, meanwhile, puts on her trademark steely front. But beneath her icy exterior lies a mother figure mourning her grandson. Jill had always pushed Chance to live up to the Chancellor legacy. She had often criticized him, perhaps too harshly, when he strayed from the expectations placed upon his family name. Now she wonders if she ever truly told him how proud she was. The Chancellor estate becomes the gathering point for mourners. Abby clutches Dominic, trying to stay strong for their son. Victor Newman, deeply moved by the loss of his former son-in-law, offers support while silently stewing about the dangerous circumstances that led to Chance's demise. He vows to uncover who is responsible. Sharon, Nick, and other close family friends arrive in waves, their presence a reminder of how interconnected this town truly is. Every corner of Genoa City feels the absence of Chance's quiet strength. As the community braces for the official funeral, whispers begin to circulate. Could Philip Chancellor III be returning for the memorial service? Rumors swirl that Nina reached out to her former flame in a desperate plea for closure, not just for herself but for the legacy that Chance now leaves behind. Philip, who faked his own death decades ago and has lived quietly out of the public eye, is reportedly torn. Returning to Genoa City would mean facing the ghosts of his past, Jill, Nina, and the son he left behind. In a gripping twist, Jill receives a mysterious call late at night. Her hands tremble as she hangs up. She doesn't say much, but her eyes betray a storm. The past is resurfacing. Later that week, Nina receives an anonymous envelope containing a photograph of Philip in an undisclosed location. The message is simple: "I'm sorry for your loss. He was a better man than I ever was." Nina is shaken. Could Philip really be on his way? Meanwhile, Devon Hamilton, who once stepped in as a father figure for Dominic during Chance's initial disappearance, finds himself emotionally conflicted. Old feelings resurface. He was there for Abby when Chance was presumed dead before, and he may need to be again. Elena offers comfort, but Devon is clearly at a crossroads. His bond with Dominic pulls at his heartstrings, reigniting the never-resolved custody battle. Will he stand by or take a more active role in the child's life once more? At the police department, the investigation into Chance's death intensifies. Chief Paul Williams steps out of retirement to personally oversee the inquiry. As evidence begins to mount, it becomes clear that Chance was on the verge of exposing a high-level trafficking ring tied to someone in Genoa City's elite. Fingers point in multiple directions, Tucker McCall, Audra Charles, even Victor himself. The deeper Paul digs, the more tangled the web becomes. Jill insists that nothing will be swept under the rug, not this time. She demands justice. Amid the growing tension, the funeral finally arrives. Genoa City stands still. Every pew is filled, and a hush falls over the chapel as the doors swing open. The mourners turn. A tall man in a dark suit steps in. His face is partially hidden beneath a wide-brimmed hat and dark sunglasses. Gasps echo through the room. It's Philip Chancellor III. Jill's breath catches in her throat. Nina rises in disbelief, her hand flying to her mouth. Even Victor seems stunned. Philip slowly walks toward the front of the chapel and pauses at Chance's casket. Removing his glasses, he gazes down with sorrowful eyes. "My son," he whispers. Tears fall freely. The moment is surreal. For the first time in decades, the Chancellors are face to face with a man they thought they had lost forever. The reactions are mixed. Jill is overwhelmed with anger and grief. Nina's expression is unreadable, a mix of pain, forgiveness, and confusion. After the service, a tense confrontation unfolds in the drawing room of the Chancellor mansion. Jill demands answers. Why now? Why hide all these years? Why not come back sooner, when Chance was alive? Philip, visibly aged and carrying the weight of years in exile, reveals that he never stopped watching from afar. He kept tabs on Chance's achievements, his marriage, his career. He says he feared disrupting their lives, but Chance's death changed everything. "I couldn't let him be buried without saying goodbye," he says, voice cracking. Nina, ever the complex soul, struggles to contain her emotions. She lashes out, accusing Philip of cowardice and selfishness. But eventually, the anger gives way to shared grief. In a private moment, Nina and Philip sit beneath the Chancellor Garden's old oak tree, where she once told Chance stories as a boy. They speak not as ex-lovers but as parents mourning a son who never got the life he deserved. There's no neat reconciliation, just understanding and a moment of peace. Back inside, Abby finally breaks down. The funeral and Philip's shocking return have reopened every wound she had hoped time would heal. Victor assures her that Dominic will grow up knowing his father was a hero. But Abby isn't so sure. What good is a legacy if it ends in pain, she asks. In a surprising move, Philip announces he plans to stay in Genoa City, for now. He wants to help raise Dominic, to be present in the Chancellor legacy that Chance was forced to leave behind. Jill is skeptical. Nina is cautiously hopeful. And Abby, she's unsure whether she can accept the man who walked away from Chance but now wants to be part of his son's life. Meanwhile, Paul makes a breakthrough in the investigation. Forensic evidence links the ambush that killed Chance to a known associate of Tucker McCall. This revelation sends shockwaves through the business world. Victor seizes the opportunity to go after Tucker with renewed vengeance. Devon is caught in the middle yet again, trying to protect his company and his family. The threat grows more dangerous by the day. Elsewhere, Audra and Nate begin whispering behind closed doors, clearly involved in something more than just business. They speak of unfinished deals, of secrets that Chance might have uncovered. Jill demands that Newman Enterprises and Chancellor Winters both be audited. "If you're not hiding anything," she says coldly, "you won't mind." As the days pass, Chance's loss continues to ripple through Genoa City. His legacy inspires a new wave of justice seekers, but it also exposes long-festering wounds. Abby finds solace in writing letters to Dominic about his father, storing them in a box labeled, "For when you're ready." Devon watches over them from afar, wondering when, or if, he'll ever step into that role again. Nina decides to stay in town, vowing to rebuild the Chancellor family with or without Philip's help. She and Jill reach a tentative truce. They know their grief may never fully heal, but they can honor Chance by living with purpose and truth. Philip's return adds a volatile new energy to Genoa City. Will his presence mend what was broken or deepen the divide? Is he truly here to stay, or is this just another disappearance waiting to happen? One thing is certain, Chance's death has awakened sleeping giants, unearthed buried secrets, and forced every resident to reckon with the past. As Philip Chancellor III attempts to settle back into life in Genoa City, the ripples of Chance's death continue to spread. His presence is a stark reminder of unfinished business, not just emotional, but legal and financial. Catherine Chancellor's legacy still casts a long shadow, and with Chance gone, questions arise about the future of Chancellor Industries and the family estate. Jill is quick to assert control, determined to protect the company from any opportunists circling the tragedy. However, Philip's return threatens her grip, especially when he reveals that he never relinquished his original claim to the Chancellor Trust. This revelation leads to a dramatic confrontation at the Chancellor boardroom. Catherine's old lawyer, Mitchell Sherman, presents documents proving Philip's enduring rights. Jill explodes. "You abandoned this family, you don't get to walk back in and claim it now," she yells, but Philip remains calm. "I'm not here for money, Jill. I'm here to make things right, for Chance, for Dominic." Yet, even as he says this, murmurs begin to circulate. Was this truly about legacy, or is Philip hiding another motive? Abby becomes increasingly torn. She wants what's best for Dominic, but she doesn't know what role Philip should play. She turns to Victor for guidance, and for once, he doesn't have a clear answer. "He's your son's grandfather," Victor says. "But he's also a man with a history of running away. Don't confuse guilt with redemption." Abby can't shake the feeling that Philip is withholding something. Meanwhile, Devon begins to grow closer to both Abby and Dominic again. Late-night conversations and shared grief draw them back together. It feels familiar. It feels dangerous. Elena warns Devon to be careful, knowing how emotional manipulation can entangle hearts in ways that never end cleanly. But Devon can't help it. When Dominic clutches his finger and says, "Dada," in a sleepy voice, something shifts. Devon starts consulting a lawyer, just in case custody lines begin to blur again. The past isn't finished with any of them. Elsewhere in town, Nina begins piecing together details of Chance's last investigation. She refuses to accept that his death was just the result of a random ambush. Working with Paul, she uncovers encrypted files on Chance's personal drive, files that reference offshore accounts, shell corporations, and a mysterious codename, Silverhawk. The more she digs, the more she begins to suspect that Chance stumbled onto something massive, possibly tied to powerful business figures in Genoa City. She shares her findings with Jill, who immediately recognizes one of the listed shell companies. "That's one of Tucker McCall's old ghost companies," she says, pale. Tucker, of course, denies everything. He insists that he hasn't operated under that company name in over a decade and accuses Jill and Nina of trying to frame him. But his sudden move to lawyer up tells another story. Audra, who's been quietly watching everything unfold, grows nervous. She reaches out to Nate and warns him, "We need to lay low. If anyone finds out what we were part of, we're both going down." Victor, sensing an opportunity, begins gathering intelligence. He dispatches Michael Baldwin and even uses Adam to trail Tucker's recent movements. The Newman patriarch has no intention of letting his daughter's husband die in vain. In a gripping scene, Victor corners Tucker at society, staring him down. "You played with fire, McCall," he says coldly. "Now you're going to burn." Meanwhile, Sharon begins organizing a memorial foundation in Chance's honor, aimed at supporting the families of fallen first responders. She encourages Abby to take part in the launch event. It's emotional, but it gives Abby something to focus on beyond the grief. Faith returns from college to support her family, and Mariah and Tessa offer to babysit Dominic while Abby throws herself into the project. For a moment, there is healing. But peace never lasts long in Genoa City. One morning, Nina receives a voicemail from an unknown number. The message is short and garbled, but one phrase comes through clearly: Chance isn't gone. Her heart skips a beat. She replays it over and over. Could Chance have faked his death? Or is this some cruel prank by one of the enemies he made? She goes straight to Paul, who urges caution. The voice on the message isn't verifiable. Still, he agrees to dig into the autopsy report and forensic files. What he finds is unsettling. The body recovered from the scene was burned beyond recognition. Dental records were used for confirmation, but those could be forged. Could it be possible that Chance knew his life was in danger and staged his own death? As this theory spreads, Genoa City is thrown into chaos once more. Abby is devastated by the possibility. Was she grieving a lie? Did Chance abandon her and Dominic to protect them, or to protect himself? Devon becomes even more protective of Dominic. Jill is furious. If Chance is alive, he better have one hell of a reason for doing this, she declares. In a secret scene, hidden from the rest of the town, viewers are shown a figure in a foreign hospital bed. Bandaged and bruised, he clutches a photograph of Abby and Dominic. Soon, he whispers. It's Chance. Alive. But clearly still in danger. Back in Genoa City, the Chancellor Foundation Gala arrives. It's a grand affair, filled with poignant speeches and emotional tributes. Philip takes the stage and surprises everyone by announcing a substantial donation to the foundation in Chance's name. The crowd applauds, but not everyone is convinced. Nina watches him carefully, sensing that he's still holding something back. After the gala, Philip receives a mysterious call. The package has been moved, the voice says. He's alive, but compromised. Philip's hands shake as he whispers, keep him safe at all costs. The scene ends with Philip staring out at the Chancellor estate. He knows his return has changed everything. But the truth, about Chance, about the past, about the deals made long ago, is about to come out. And when it does, it could destroy the Chancellors forever. As summer deepens over Genoa City, the tension brewing beneath the surface threatens to erupt. The whispers about Chance being alive now consume Nina. Every sleepless night leads her to a new theory, a new clue, a new hope. She won't accept silence, not after everything she's lost. Abby, still reeling, finds herself questioning her sanity. She's mourned. She's grieved. She's told Dominic that his father is in heaven. But what if she's been living a lie? Abby confronts Philip at the Chancellor estate. You said you were here to make things right, she accuses, voice shaking. If Chance is alive, and you know it, tell me now. Philip, cornered, lowers his gaze. He's torn. The secrets he's kept were to protect his grandson, but the cost has become unbearable. I don't have proof, he says cautiously. But I've seen enough to believe he might be. Abby's hand flies to her mouth. The room spins. You let me bury my husband. Meanwhile, Paul continues pulling at the threads of the conspiracy Chance uncovered. He discovers that a woman named Adriana Morales, an ex-intelligence contact of Chance's, checked into a Swiss clinic 2 days before the explosion that supposedly killed him. Paul tracks her down and flies out to confront her. The encounter is intense. At first, Adriana denies everything. But under pressure, she breaks. Chance wasn't supposed to die, she says. He was supposed to disappear. The op went sideways. Paul records every word and rushes back to Genoa City. Back home, Devon and Abby grow closer. Their shared concern for Dominic forms a familiar bond that begins to blur the lines between friendship and something more. One night, after putting Dominic to bed, Abby breaks down in Devon's arms. What if he's alive and never comes back, she whispers. Or worse, what if he's alive and doesn't want us? Devon comforts her, but his heart is conflicted. He wants to be there for Abby, but he also wants to be more than just a backup. Jill, sensing the Chancellor Empire is on fragile ground, begins making contingency plans. She summons Billy and Lily, hoping to secure the future of Chancellor Winters while chaos continues to unfold. But Billy is skeptical. "You're trusting Philip now?" he questions. "After everything?" Jill sighs. "I don't trust him. But I also know the Chancellors don't survive unless we face the truth." As the possibility of Chance being alive leaks to the press, media vultures descend on the estate. Reporters crowd the front gate. Headlines spin wildly: Chance Chancellor faked his death. Conspiracy inside Chancellor Empire? Victor, furious, tightens security around Abby and Dominic. He summons Michael Baldwin for a legal strategy session and issues a chilling warning: "If anyone tries to exploit this family's grief, I will bury them." At the same time, Tucker McCall's legal troubles mount. Paul's investigation uncovers falsified import records and money laundering connected to a dummy organization, Silverhawk Enterprises, the same name found in Chance's encrypted files. Faced with mounting pressure, Tucker makes a drastic move. He tries to flee the country but is intercepted by the FBI, tipped off by none other than Victor Newman himself. In exchange for leniency, Tucker offers a name: ask Philip Chancellor who really ordered the hit. This changes everything. Paul and Nina confront Philip once more. "If you don't come clean now," Paul says, "you'll be charged as an accessory." Philip, cornered, confesses, "It wasn't meant to happen this way. Years ago, I made a deal, to protect Chance. To shield him from something that would have ruined him. I thought I was doing the right thing." He reveals that decades ago, during his time overseas, he became entangled in a covert military operation. Those ties never truly severed, and when Chance got too close to exposing the remnants of that ring, a warning was sent. Philip thought he could intercept it. He thought the extraction team would protect Chance. But it was too late. Nina explodes. "You let him walk into a trap for your sins?" But Philip insists, he's alive. He made contact once, but he's hiding, because if he surfaces, everyone around him is in danger. Victor, hearing this, arranges for a private security detail and taps into his Black Ops network. He wants answers, and he wants Chance back. Within days, a lead emerges. A small clinic in Montenegro registered a patient under an alias known to be one of Chance's old field identities. Abby and Nina waste no time. With Paul's help, they fly out in secrecy. What they find stuns them: a heavily guarded patient in a recovery ward, bandaged, bearded, barely responsive. But it's him. It's Chance. When Abby enters the room, her voice trembles. "Chance, it's me." "It's Abby." His eyes open slowly. There's pain, confusion, and recognition. A tear rolls down his cheek. He whispers, "Dominic, safe?" Abby sobs. Nina rushes to his side. The reunion is bittersweet. The doctors explain that Chance suffered internal injuries and memory lapses. He's been recovering in silence, fearing exposure. But now, he's ready to come home. Their return to Genoa City is like something out of a movie. No press. No fanfare. Just a midnight landing and quiet tears as Abby brings Chance back to the Chancellor Mansion. Jill is overwhelmed. Victor gives a nod of respect. "Welcome back, soldier." But the challenges are just beginning. Chance's presence disrupts everything. Devon feels pushed out of Dominic's life. Philip becomes a pariah. Abby tries to adjust, but Chance's trauma runs deep. He's distant, haunted. And worst of all, he doesn't remember key moments of their marriage. Still, he tries. For Abby. For Dominic. For the life that was stolen from him. In the weeks that follow, Genoa City slowly absorbs the shock. A televised press conference clears Chance's name and reveals the criminal ring he helped dismantle. Paul retires again, content that justice was served. Tucker remains behind bars. And Philip, in one final act of redemption, leaves Genoa City, this time, for good, signing over his entire inheritance to Dominic. Nina, though broken, finds peace in having her son home. Abby and Chance begin family therapy. There's no fairy tale ending, but there's hope. Dominic's first word when he sees his father is soft, sweet, "Daddy." And just like that, the next chapter begins. Genoa City survived the storm, but the scars will always remain. But healing in Genoa City never comes easy, especially not for the Chancellors. Though Chance is physically home, mentally and emotionally, he's still on the battlefield. Nightmares haunt his sleep. He wakes in cold sweats, often disoriented, sometimes calling out names no one recognizes. Abby tries to be patient, supportive, reminding herself of everything he went through. But as the weeks pass, the distance between them begins to show. Her bright optimism dulls. Their once easy conversations now feel like navigating a minefield. Chance, too, senses the shift. He watches Abby cradle Dominic with that same fierce love she always had, but there's a hesitation when she turns to him. He can feel her holding back. He understands why. After all, he's not the man she buried, and he's not sure he ever will be again. Meanwhile, Devon struggles with his place in Dominic's life. After months of playing a fatherly role, he's now expected to step aside, publicly and privately. It stings. Deeply. Even though he knows Chance is Dominic's biological father, Devon bonded with the boy in a way that transcended blood. Now, he stands outside looking in, trying to keep his emotions in check as Abby and Chance reforge their family. Elena notices the toll it's taking on him. One evening, Devon breaks down, confessing that he feels both selfish and heartbroken. Elena listens patiently. "You're not wrong for loving that child," she says gently. "And you're not wrong for feeling lost." Still, Devon begins to distance himself, focusing more on Hamilton Winters and less on family. As the Chancellor household navigates these emotional storms, Nina takes on a new mission, writing a memoir about her son's life. She wants the world to know the real Chancellor, the boy who believed in doing good, the man who sacrificed everything, the hero who came back broken but breathing. She begins recording interviews with friends, colleagues, even Victor, who shockingly agrees. "Your son earned his place in this family," Victor says. "He deserves to be remembered for it." But just as Nina settles into her purpose, she receives a visitor that sends her spiraling, Adriana Morales, the intelligence contact who helped hide Chance. Adriana claims she's not there to disrupt their lives but to warn them. The people who tried to silence Chance before, they haven't forgotten. And they're not done. Nina shares this warning with Chance, who grows increasingly paranoid. He steps up security at the Chancellor Mansion, installs surveillance, and even begins carrying a concealed weapon again. Abby notices the change and grows fearful. "This isn't a war zone, Chance," she tells him one night. "You're home now." "But for how long?" he replies. This tension threatens to shatter their fragile peace. Jill, ever the strategist, steps in. She suggests that Chance take on a leadership role at Chancellor Winters, something that gives him purpose without the risks of police work. Lily is open to the idea, and so is Billy, though cautiously. They propose he consult on security protocols and community engagement programs. For a brief time, it works. Chance throws himself into the work, building bridges, even earning praise in the press for his return to civic life. But the shadows still follow. One evening, a car is spotted trailing Abby's vehicle. Another day, their home security system is hacked. Victor dispatches private protection for the entire Newman Chancellor clan. Michael Baldwin returns to legal war mode. Everyone's on edge. Then, the unthinkable happens. Jill is poisoned during a Chancellor Winters event. She survives, thanks to quick thinking from Elena, but the message is clear: someone is targeting the Chancellors. The investigation uncovers a connection to Silverhawk, the criminal ring Chance had infiltrated. Despite Tucker's incarceration, remnants of the network remain active, and desperate for revenge. Chance blames himself. Abby insists it isn't his fault. But their conversations now end in silence instead of comfort. Victor demands that the family retreat to the Newman Ranch under full security. Reluctantly, Abby agrees. Chance, however, refuses. "I won't run anymore," he says. "Let them come." Victor respects the conviction but warns him, "Don't let pride get your family killed." At Newman Enterprises, Victoria pushes for the company to distance itself from Chancellor drama. Nikki agrees, fearing for the family's image. This creates internal war among the Newmans, especially as Adam steps up and declares his support for Abby and Chance. They need allies, not abandonments, he says, earning a rare nod from Victor. As the days grow darker, Chance begins planning a trap, one final mission to lure out whoever's left in the shadows. Paul reluctantly assists from the sidelines, as does Ray's old contact at the FBI. The plan? A fake press conference where Chance is rumored to reveal the names of every Silverhawk conspirator still walking free. Abby begs him not to do it. "You just got your life back," she cries. "Why throw it away?" Chance kisses her forehead. "Because if I don't end this, they'll never stop." The night of the event arrives. Police flood the building. Snipers are stationed on rooftops. Abby watches from a surveillance van with Nina. The air is thick with dread. The room fills. Chance steps up to the podium. And then, chaos. A blackout. Screams. Gunshots. But when the lights flicker back on, Chance is standing, unharmed. A would-be assassin is on the ground, taken down by Victor's security. Paul rushes in. "We got him," he says. "The last one." The next day, headlines scream, "Hero Chancellor survives second assassination attempt." The town breathes a cautious sigh of relief. In the weeks that follow, the fear lifts. Security relaxes. The Chancellors begin reclaiming normalcy. Abby takes Dominic to the park without guards for the first time in months. Nina's book reaches final draft. Devon visits more often, finally at peace with his role in Dominic's life. And Chance? He begins therapy. Real therapy. No more pushing pain away. No more masks. One day, Abby finds him asleep on the nursery floor, Dominic curled up beside him, giggling in his sleep. She watches them, eyes full of quiet love. Maybe, just maybe, they've made it through. Later that evening, as the sun sets over Genoa City, Chance holds Abby close and whispers, "We survived hell. Now let's fight for heaven." And this time, she believes him. The legacy of the Chancellors continues, scarred but unbroken, haunted but hopeful.